Welcome to the Reseller's Niche Podcast, a show for e-commerce buyers and sellers where we investigate unique categories of items being bought and sold and show how research equals knowledge equals profit. And now your hosts, Russ and Mo.
Hey, howdy, folks. Welcome to the Reseller Niche Podcast. Russ, how's it going over there in Florida?
It is going fantastic. Florida's sunny and sandy as always. How about you?
Oh, it's a little early in the morning, but it looks like a nice day shaping up. So today we got a guest, Paul Perez. He's kind of does a little bit of everything. He's a podcaster, vlogger, part-time reseller. And he's got his own YouTube and podcast, Improve and Have Fun YouTube channel, and PVPfromNJ podcast. Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Mo, it's a pleasure to be on here with you and Russ. My name is Paul Perez. The website is improveandhavefun.com. And we just, I love to create in terms of like whether it be artwork, whether it be videos or anything like that. And I like to document my life as well. And I just put that all into the podcast blog, definitely.
Oh, yeah, there's so much in there. I've taken a look at you, kind of hit things from all different angles, which is really cool. And then I know you have a lot of different pursuits, a lot of different interests, not just reselling, other stuff too. Could you give people a little bit of background on that?
Definitely. On the podcast, on the vlog, on the blog, I just like to talk about the things that I enjoy talking about. I, too, started podcasting maybe about almost 3 years ago, and I started with reselling. But I'm a one-man show, and for me, there's just so much you can talk when it comes to reselling, me personally. So I started thinking, let me just start talking about the things that I like. And that could be movie reviews. It could be a book I read. I'll do almost like a book report. What makes me laugh are things like weird stories that I may find online, and I just like collecting them and putting them out there. And I just like reflect and talk about things from my life and things that I listen to other like kind of self-development podcasts, and just kind of share that from my point of view. So it's just kind of, like I said, it's one of those things where when you're on your deathbed, or you're old and gray, a long time from now for all of us, then you could kind of reflect back and you see where you are in life. And I think that's something very cool, like kind of like the changes you were going through.
Gotcha. It's like your podcast or YouTube bucket list almost.
Exactly.
Now, wait a minute now. What about us that are old and gray?
Well, you're not quite there yet. You're very young, old and gray. So, it's still a long time for all of us. Yeah, that's long
right.
time.
That's right.
Yeah.
But so we're going to kind of touch back on a part of, because I find Paul's story very interesting, because we touch on reselling, but Paul's someone that's kind of in and out, and we want to touch on how that progress went, how that journey went. So we're going to kind of go back a little bit, how you started with reselling, even though I know you do other things too. So can you give us an idea of, how that started a little bit, and then we'll move on from there?
Of course. I've had my eBay account since 1999, and I would just kind of on and off annually just sell stuff that I was just getting rid of, like some kind of old video game stuff, or some old camera equipment, and I would just do that once in a while. I stumbled upon Steve Rakin about a few years ago and saw his videos about how he was making a living kind of selling like online, and then I found the Scavenger Life people who at the time were the eBay scavengers, and this motivated me to really make a push for reselling, just like as trying to make a living of it. And I had gone ahead, and just to give you like the Cliff Notes version, I went ahead, I also found the Bonafide Hustler, I found the Green Room folks at Mo, that's where we met, So I went ahead, I signed up for the Green Room, I started building my eBay store. I got the eBay store up to a point of like almost 600 items. I got my Amazon FBA, I had set that up and got that almost up to over 1,000 items. And what ended up happening, I even got to the point where I even hired my own 2 employees, which, I would have never wrapped my brain around that. But like I said, it's all thanks to the reselling community, the online reselling community, that just gave me the vision to go ahead and do that. but what ended up happening between all the reselling and having a full-time job, like my health was getting affected. I would only sleep 4 hours a day, and my push was, like I said, to make a full-time living of this. But I mismanaged my time, and there was even a point where I went just for 9 months and solely lived off of reselling, and there I mismanaged my money. So I ended up just like getting rid of everything. I got my eBay store, like I said, to 600 items. I just got rid of everything. I donated everything and just absolutely quit and just focused on the podcast, because that was really bringing me like a true enjoyment. But I'm another big fan of James Altucher, and he is a big proponent that you should not only count on one income stream. So that brings us to present day, where I do eBay, solely eBay on the side. And, I do the podcast and everything, because like I said, that's my biggest enjoyment in life, is doing that. And also, I work full time. So that's a Cliff Notes version of my story.
Gotcha. And then was there, I guess, something that, backtracking a little bit, was there, other than the time issues, was there something else that kind of tipped you off that, reselling is going great, but it's just not me right now?
No, it really was the lack of sleep. Like, gotcha. I worked an overnight job, and I really was just only sleeping 4 hours a night. And that in the long-term way is not good.
No,
I cannot recommend that for anyone.
No, sleep's one of the most, sleep and air are two of the most important things our body needs, sleep, air, and food, right?
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes,
gotcha.
Sir. Gotcha. I'm sorry, what were you going to say?
During that time, I want to point out to the listeners ongoing, one of the reasons we reach out to each other, one of the reasons we do in those groups, because it can be lonely, and it can be a passion that turns into a full-time job that just absolutely will, just like any job that you can have or anything that can go, you can wear yourself out with it. And you feel like you don't want to miss out. So push. I know you probably went through a fourth quarter and it just wore you out.
And I'm a one-man show for the most part until I hired those two people. I'm just by myself doing everything, and it was a lot. It was a fourth quarter, and after the fourth quarter, that first quarter of the new year, like that winter period is also very busy as well, almost.
Right.
And it kicked my ass. It kicked me in the ass really hard, and I was like, I have to kind of let this go, because this is affecting my health. I can make all the money in the world. If my health isn't up to snuff, then I'm not going to do anything with any of this.
And I like Steven Peterson always talks about a lifestyle business. Make this a lifestyle business to where you do it. And your story is a great example of that.
Thank you.
Your lifestyle with that. So, kind of when you first started out and you've been on eBay buying or selling your own things, what was it that kind of went, hey, what intrigued you about the idea?
Well, I'll tell you, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of arguments against this, but now you're asking me, Russ, like in terms of eBay, I find that you have better profit margins with eBay than you do with FBA. And FBA is great, and FBA is FBA is great, but I was finding, and this happened even this year when I got into reselling, because I started with FBA as well until I absolutely quit FBA. And it's most likely my era, but for my minimal little bit of experience, you're definitely spending a lot more with FBA and making like pennies compared to eBay, where you're buying something super cheap and making much better profit.
Right.
To answer your question, Russ, that is what made me think, wow, with eBay, you could buy this and then, you could flip it and make a much bigger profit margin. So, that was reselling.
Yeah. It's more fulfilling, that bigger. Gotcha.
I'm super curious. Like, what do you guys think about that? Like I said, you guys may be more experienced than I am with FBA. Most likely you are. Like I said, my FBA experience is just like maybe a couple of years. But do you find any validity in that, or do you think that I'm totally off mark and saying that?
I agree with you 100%. Being in sales for as long as I have and being in business, the human aspect of the instant gratification. You know, getting an email from FBA that something sold is nice. And okay, I made $4 or I made $15 on that. You know, it's like, that's great. But I got, 1,000 things I'm making $15 on this month. So I don't, but I mean, it's great. But there's something about that cha-ching and knowing that, hey, I paid $5 for this and I made 100 on it.
Exactly.
That's huge, man. That's why it's exactly why I do eBay more than FBA.
Oh yeah, and then I think the thing with eBay too is the one-offs, or I mean, it could be a 5-off. You're not going to get that with Amazon as much. They're very few and far between. It's kind of more like, how would you say it? In a sense, it's more like wholesale selling sometimes with FBA. Because you're looking at, okay, I bought that, I'm going to buy 50 of those or whatever it is. With eBay, you could be, and then that could be like Paul was saying, as low as a 10% margin or something like that. I guess with eBay, you could be, tripling, quadrupling, who knows what. It could be a lot higher.
We've all heard the stories and we've all seen them, like in the green room and the FBA groups and stuff, where somebody has paid literally pennies. I mean, and got 2, 3. My biggest flip was that TIAC 1000 reel to reel. I paid 18 cents for in a bundle of stuff, and sold for $350 and $50 shipping. Wow. That will consume you in a hurry. Yeah, because that's on a level that is unheard of, because we're programmed to trade time for money.
Yeah. I wanted to add on to this, like in terms of our conversation, and like I said, I'm not poo-pooing completely on FBA. I just think it's a much bigger money investment, and it's a different game. But I have, from the 1 or 2 successful people in terms of with FBA that make a full-time living with FBA that I've spoken to in the green room, going big on FBA, it could really leave you with some debt. Like, I mean, I don't find that so much with eBay, but let's say, like I said, maybe I was doing it all wrong too, but I think going ahead and getting into FBA, you could, like, going like a big league, you could really get into some serious debt.
Right. Yeah. You have to know you're definitely on that level. You better know your products and do your
different
research.
Animal. So yeah,
different animal. But it can be, what do they say? We work with lions. They're very pretty, and they're fun to look at, and they can really do a lot of work, but they can also eat you.
Yeah.
So that, FBA is like that lion. It's the king, but it can work for you or it can eat you, and you better be prepared for both.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Totally agree. FBAs are great. I love the books in FBA.
Yes.
Because of volume, but yeah. So I totally agree with you on that, Paul.
Cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you would have told me 2-3 years ago, like, everybody was talking about FBA kind of being like an eBay killer. And now we're seeing, like with the storage fees and all this stuff, like I said, eBay is still a lot more attractive. And Gary Vaynerchuk, like, pushing eBay. I think eBay is still a lot more attractive than FBA for sure. But I mean, that's just me. I could be, like I said, I'm not an FBA hater. FBA has come through in the clutch for me. But like I said, it's the profit margins just are not there.
Yeah, and I think it also depends on. There's a couple factors too. Because you live up on the East Coast in a pretty expensive area too. That's another part of it too.
Yes,
so I mean, sourcing is an issue, and then all the new rules are thrown out there. So yeah, there's Amazon. Just like Russ said, it's great and it's not, and it kind of depends on your selling style, your business, the way you work. So
it would help a lot if Amazon, Jeff Bezos, would just go ahead and tell us where they're moving to, That way we can give us the game plan, Jeff, so we can so we don't have to keep figuring it out.
There you go.
But this rolling stuff where we're going to change this and change that, it's all positive changes. I mean, they definitely are with the brand gate and Gateopolis or whatever apocalyptic gating that they started doing, and they're cutting a lot of the junk off of there.
Yeah.
But it's getting harder and harder.
Well, if you remember, I think this was, maybe it's getting off topic a bit, I think it was 8-10 years ago, they went into the auction business. Amazon did.
Right.
And they failed. I mean, so they cut it immediately, like, Amazon does. They tinker. So they couldn't do it. So that has something to say for eBay, I guess, but
wow.
Not everything is,
not everything is doable. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
And you look at both of their models, the Amazon, eBay, they're the biggest.
Yeah.
There's people trying to duplicate each one of their models.
Oh yeah.
So both work.
Yes.
And
it's been proven. It's been proven.
Oh, you have what, 170 and 30. You have $100 billion between those two companies.
Yeah.
So that's $100 billion. That's 1/10 of $1 trillion. And
it's ridiculous.
And they say that we are scratching the surface on e-commerce. It's still in its infancy.
And us being resellers, there's so many like little different companies, websites coming up that we all know that there's definitely going to be another kid on the block that's going to make a serious impact in our lifetime. I mean, or there's going to be another kind of delivery system. Like, it's inevitable,
Yeah, there has to be.
Oh, exactly. When I was a younger person, I was in a meeting with two companies. It was not a boardroom meeting, but we were working on stuff. And one of the companies said, well, if you do business with them, we're going to pull out. And the owner of this company didn't pull out. The one he was trying to do business with was Walmart. The one that told him that if you do business with Walmart, we're pulling out, was Kmart. Kmart used to be the biggest bully on the block.
Yeah.
And where are they now? So there's always going to be cyclical growth, but they're going to be around a long time. I mean, both of them have lasted 20 years now.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So, and scratching the surface.
Wow.
Definitely. So let's okay. So Paul, we talked about your reselling. Let's talk about how you left reselling. So what was it? What did it look like when you left? What was that time frame like, and what were you starting to do then?
It was definitely a time frame just to kind of rest up and just kind of how is it? How can I explain this? Like I said, I'm a big fan of James Altucher, and I love his books, I love his podcast, and I like his message. He says some of the things that kind of rejuvenate us as people, one of the things is creating, kind of being around family, kind of being around, people who love you. So I just kind of wanted to go more into that. And I absolutely love creating. Like I said, with the podcast, with the blog, I love to draw. I love to write short stories. So I went ahead and I kind of just rediscovered that. And they say that when you're kind of in your 40s, you're starting to kind of really find your groove as to what is it that you really want to spend the rest of your years doing. And I think that's what happened when I left the reselling, is I started to really find, like, what is it that I just like to do all the time? And I want to just do this for the rest of my life. And that's where I'm at now,
Okay.
So
okay. And then was this where you started? Because I know you pretty much the whole time you've had podcasts. So when you were reselling and now, so is that where the podcast you took you doubled down on that, or did you, were there other things that you added to to that?
No, this is another situation where I wanted to go ahead and copy like what Steve Rakin did, copy like what the Bonafide Hustler did, but I wanted to do it a little different. I wanted to go ahead and start a podcast and try to monetize that. It was just basically, there was a stretch of 9 months where I just went solely reselling. I was making my living off of that. And I was just trying to find any other way to kind of make money, to bring money in. And I thought that, let me go ahead and start this as a way to make money.
Got it.
Kind of talk about reselling, but that has evolved, like I said, just into another creative outlet. So that's where the podcast and the motivation for the podcast came from.
Okay. And then as far as, because I know you do a little bit of reselling, kind of come full circle. So is there something that's changed in what you've started to do now, or you cut out certain things you didn't like from before?
Well, definitely cut out FBA, 100%. Cut out FBA, but where I'm grateful about having the history of reselling and getting back into it, it feels very comfortable. Feels very, very comfortable getting back into it, definitely. So I was very happy about that.
Okay. And then as far as, because I know you have the YouTube channel, you have a podcast, is there anything different about those now? Because I know you initially started talking more about reselling, and now it's more about life. And can you talk about like what's the future for PVP? What's going on in the future?
I just want to continue doing what I'm doing. I want to continue talking to gentlemen such as yourselves, and just like I said, talking about our journey. Like I said, what we're doing now, we're cementing this snapshot in our lives right here and right now. And people may not think that this may have a value, but I'm telling you that there's someone someplace in this world that is in the same place that we are in right now, and they're going to watch this, and it's going to help them. It's going to give them direction. So this is one of the reasons why it's good to put out this content. It's good to put out this information.
Excellent. And what we like to do, we've got you on this show. We always like to help people as much as possible.
Of course.
So our motto on the show is research equals knowledge equals profit. And that doesn't necessarily mean monetary profit in every sense of the word, because you're kind of a worldly fellow, I can tell just the way you talk. So is there anything you could say, because there's ups and downs. That's what I think the synopsis of the story, the ups and downs, you kind of find your way. Right. So is there anything you could tell any of the listeners out there about your journey, or what to look for in this, regardless if it's reselling or not?
The bottom line is, what is it that you loved when you were a kid? Or what is the 2 or 3 things that you loved when you were a kid? Do that. Do it as a side hustle. But do it every day and strengthen that muscle. And who knows, over time, you can go ahead and possibly make some kind of money off of that. But do what it is that you like to do. Do what it is that you like to do. That's the most important thing that I can say to anyone, because that's what's going to fulfill you. But on the flip side, do find a second way to make money. I read this book called The One Thing, and it basically talks about just focusing on one thing. I will add on to that and say, maybe just do 2 or 3 things, but only focus on that. And any other opportunities there to come, just say no, even if it's to only make money. Do what it is that makes you happy. Do what excites you, for sure.
Okay, that's excellent. And Paul, if we could have you kind of express how people can get a hold of you a little bit, because we've kind of learned a lot from you. I'm sure other people want to find out about you, check out your channels, your podcasts. How can people find out about you? Where's the best place? And we're going to put these links below too, but just let the folks know home over there.
Of course. The website is improveandhavefun.com. That's where you'll find the podcast, the vlogs, and also all my contact information. You have to scroll to the very bottom, the footer menu. That's where you'll find everything. But improveandhavefun.com. I put out episodes weekly. There's no schedule, but I talk about all kinds of stuff, definitely.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Paul.
No, guys, it's been amazing. This is actually my first ever podcast interview, so I'm extremely grateful to the both of you to even have me on. I'm not a reselling expert, but I just hope that what we discussed today can definitely help someone, for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you.
It definitely will. And the same, likewise, we really want to say thanks for having us coming onto our show here. So thanks everyone for listening to the Reseller Niche Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
Yes.
That was awesome. Paul really has a lot to say. And you can tell he has his own podcast, own YouTube channel. And what I enjoyed listening to was kind of how he's finding his own way, kind of coming in, coming out of reselling, finding what works for him.
Absolutely. I think the thing that I really like about Paul is how he stresses, do what you like. And to me, reselling I like. To some people, it may not be do full time. So it's just a really interesting concept that he has, and one of those things that we all need to keep in mind, that take care of ourselves first too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for listening to the podcast, and we hope you have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Reseller Niche Podcast. Show notes and social media links are located at resellerniche.com. Please like and subscribe to us on iTunes.